What's going on, guys? Glock Guy 226 here. We are back again with the LCP II. Now, this has been a pretty good little gun for me, guys. I honestly don't have anything really bad to say about it. We'll go ahead and safety check the gun for you guys out there just to make sure it is safe. I always check the guns prior to turning the cameras on, make sure everything's safe, but just so you guys know, the gun is safe. Now, if you haven't seen my other videos on the LCP II, I'll give you a quick rundown. I basically did a 500 round test on it. I wanted to see how this gun would act going 500 rounds without cleaning it. And in those 500 rounds, I had two things happen. One was more or less a training issue on my part. While I was shooting the gun, this slick surface right in here where your thumb rests, you can see that. It's really slick. I wish Ruger would have done something about that. I know you can get Talon grips for it, and that kind of does fix the problem. But while I was shooting, my thumb had hit the mag release. The mag popped out that much, which then failed to grab another round and put it in the chamber. So when I went to fire, I just got a click. Well, that only happened one time in the 500 rounds, or now I'm about a little over 600, 650 rounds, somewhere in that ballpark now. I just kind of quit keeping track after the 500, but that did only happen one time, and once that did happen, I kind of recognized that and paid more attention to it. Now, besides that, with those 500 rounds being shot, I had one failure to eject. Like I said, I didn't clean the gun in 500 rounds, so the gun was pretty dirty. These little pocket guns they really aren't. You definitely got to shoot them, guys, but, loading 6 rounds in each mag, it usually is a longer period of time before you hit 500 rounds with these little guns. So I put it through its paces. It definitely has held up. I don't see that as being much of a problem. I've had a lot of other guns that will have at least one malfunction in 500 rounds. And if it's something like a failure to feed, failure to eject, something that can simply be cleared by either swapping a mag, racking your slide, it's not too big of an issue. Now, if it does that, 5 or 10 times out of 100 rounds, then you might be looking into an issue. It hasn't done that since, and I really don't consider it that big of a deal. Now, when I had that failure to eject, like I said, the gun had locked up. You could obviously see the issue there. I dropped the mag freely, the slide was locked open, and the round popped out and pretty much cleared its own malfunction. So I just inserted the mag back in and kept going. Didn't have an issue there. So pretty much what I want to get down to today is the LCP II a viable option for a self-defense gun? In my opinion, it is, but at the same time, it should be more or less looked at as a backup gun or a gun used in a situation where you absolutely have to conceal 110%, no questions asked. In my case, my Glock 43, I can conceal it 100%, but there are some cases, like if I'm getting fully dressed up, going to a wedding or something like that where I can't wear my EDC belt, all that kind of stuff. I bought this to primarily use for those reasons. I could just throw it in the little pocket holster, which it came with a pretty nice pocket holster from Ruger. I have no issues with it. When I first bought it, I was like, I'm probably going to have to buy a nice pocket holster, which, wouldn't be a bad idea, I guess. But this holster does work. So far, I haven't seen a need to buy another one. Now, I have carried this gun a little bit as a backup to my Glock 19 or my Glock 43, but I haven't yet carried it as my primary carry. I get a lot of guys giving me questions on my opinions if they should buy an LCP II, or what do I think about them carrying only this gun. Now, like I said, if that's your last resort, say at work or something, you can carry, but you have to conceal 110% out of the time, or maybe you wear a suit and tie for your job and pocket carry is the best way for you to go. From my experiences, guys, with the LCP II, I could say it is a great gun, but there are also a lot of videos out there of guys that are having issues with them. So what I want to tell you is, you can buy an LCP II. I think it is a good option, but run it. Don't just buy it, throw some self-defense ammo in it, and start carrying it. Buy it, at least put a couple hundred rounds through it at minimum, and then decide whether it's a good gun for you. Because I've talked to people that have had ejector problems. I've seen catastrophic failures with these things, and it's a new gun to the market, guys. Glock has had the same issues. It's not like it's the LCP II is the only gun that has ever came out and had an issue. But from my experience with it and from the many people I've talked to with these guns, it's kind of a hit or miss thing. But at the same time, you need to get out and run it. Don't just carry this gun and expect it to perform 110%. Which honestly, I mean, I've bought a lot of Glocks, probably upwards of 15 Glocks, and I pretty much know I could go to a gun shop, buy a brand new Glock, and it is going to perform. But I'm not going to go do that and just carry it right off the bat. I am going to run it a little bit. Every gun is its own animal. Every gun's different, and each gun could have a flaw in it. So no matter what gun you buy, guys, you need to be testing it out. That's really a whole nother video. I think I've talked about that in some of my other videos. But the LCP II is definitely not an exception. And with the problems that people have been having with it more commonly, because it's kind of a new gun, you definitely want to make sure you do test it out. Now, as for right now, like I said, I am about 600 to 650 rounds through this gun. I did clean it a little bit after 500 rounds, and I haven't had another issue out of it since. I can honestly say that I like it. I do trust it as a backup gun, and if I do ever have to carry this on one night out of the whole year as my primary carry for a couple hours in a, some dress pants pockets or a coat pocket, whatever, I can feel safe with it there. I at least know that it is 99% going to work. It could have a failure of feed. I could hit that mag release, like what's happened before, or something could happen. It's a possibility. You just never know. But from my experiences with it, I've put a pretty good amount of rounds through this thing to trust it. Now, one thing I just did the other night, and this isn't uncommon. I've done it to quite a few guns. I've seen people do it with guns. But with LCP II, having the sights the way they are, they're just completely forged out of the slide. They are nothing special. With these little pocket guns, you really don't need a whole lot, but you still definitely need to use your sights. A lot of people think that with a pocket gun or a shotgun is a huge myth. Just point and shoot. That's all you got to do. And that is, you can't get farther from the truth there, guys. You want to use your sights at all times. My wife likes lasers. She has a Bodyguard 38 with a laser, and then she'll shoot my Glock 43 with the TLR6 with the laser quite a bit. And she likes to rely on that, and I always tell her, it is a great thing to have it if it's sighted in, if it's reliable, but always use your sights. Use your sights first, and then, if you need that laser to help you guide for follow-up shots, whatever, but primarily use your sights. Well, what I did was I just got some nail polish and painted that front sight orange, if you can see that there. It just helps me focus a little better. Like I said, I did this the other day, and since I have taken the gun out and put some rounds through it, and it definitely helps me get a better sight picture right off the bat. So that's just something you can do at home for cheap. You can do that to whatever gun you want to. I primarily did that to this gun because you can't buy new sights for it. They are milled out of the slide. There's not a sight upgrade option for it. So putting a little bit of paint on there, whether it's white, I like to use orange, just whatever bright color is going to catch your eye. Now there are some guys that like to run blacked out sights, and my honest opinion for that is the more practice you do, like I know when I draw my gun, my 43, my 19, most guns, my muscle memory is pretty much going to line my sights up for me. The more you practice these things at the range, even dry fire practice, guys, your muscle memory is going to come into play. When I draw this gun right here, my sights are pretty much lined up, but I still need to look at those sights and make sure. If you're shooting like in a 3-gun competition, a scenario like that, more than likely you can pull your gun up off of your draw and pop a round off. In a self-defense situation, you want to look at your sights. I know there might not be a whole lot of time in that time frame, but you want to do your best you can and get used to looking at those sights right off your draw. So basically, guys, all in all, I just want to say the LCP II, in my opinion, is a good option. If you guys have any questions about that, please leave them in the comments below. If you are one of the guys that have owned one of these that have failed on you and disagree with me, I'm not telling you you're wrong by any means, and I've had guns that fail on me catastrophically, and it gives me a different opinion about them. But at the same time, Ruger's a stand-up company, and I've talked to a lot of guys that have had failures with these, and they send them back to Ruger, and most of the time they'll get a brand new gun, a brand new part. All in all, Ruger takes care of the problem. They didn't just sell you a gun, it broke, and they took off with your money. I know it's an inconvenience to not have your gun for a while after paying that kind of money, But Ruger's a stand-up company, and they do take care of their people. So, you know, as long as Ruger fixes the problem, and maybe you don't like the gun, you think differently of it, and don't trust it, you know, get the gun fixed, sell it in working condition. But I'm not here to disagree with you and tell you that you're wrong and I'm right. I'm just going off of my experiences with the gun. I get a lot of questions of people asking about the LCP II. So those are just my thoughts, guys. That pretty much wraps this video up. Please visit tangoarms.com. Use code GlockGuy226 for a discount of your order. Like this video, sub to the channel if you haven't already, and have a good night, guys.